Bases dropped. Sorry about 9:06. I was writing something because remember what we talked about, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where when I'm trying to do the morning update on the phone and the 280 character app kind of looks at you funny, it's like, bruh, failed to send. And you try to figure out, okay, is it me? Is it my phone? Did I type something wrong? No, I'm still having issues with doing things this way, which is really annoying. And no, that's not opening kickoff. But no, I'm glad that I'm not the only one when it comes to doing these kinds of things where you're sitting there going, I thought I was doing it right, but now I'm not. Okay, so that's good to know. So sorry about 9:06, and I will make it up to you on the other side. We will go to at least 11:06 this morning because we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, there's plenty to get into. Maddie Cruz is on the 1s and 2s. She'll be coming in here for a little bit of opening kickoff coming up in just a little bit. Morning, Alex. And the question that I have for Maddie is probably more along the lines of something that happened, I want to say at 2 a.m., or at least it was midnight or something like that. And she had posted something to social media, something that I understand its place and its importance, but I'm going to need a little bit more detail. Opening kickoff also has to do with things shining in the eyes of other folks from players in a game. You're not supposed to do that. You're just not. And so consequences, actions have consequences, especially when they have to do with laser pointers. We'll get into that too. Also, hour number 2, we're going to hear from Mike Jeffries, the head coach of Charlotte Independence, because yesterday the Open Cup draw was released. All of the divisions were named, and we now know that Atlanta United is going to be up at the fraction, and they now have their opponent in the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. And so we get to catch up with the folks on the other side of that equation. Coming up in hour number 2, Maddie caught up with Mike Jeffries yesterday, and we're going to play a little bit of that tonight. Remember, 7:30, I believe. You get to go to Reverb by Hard Rock downtown across the street from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we all get to hang out together on a Friday night. And Mother Nature can go perch and rotate. She needs to not do what she was doing this morning here in the Atlanta area. She doesn't need to be raining on everything because we're going to be up top at the rooftop bar, and we're going to hang out with you. We're going to talk about FC Cincinnati. Maddie will be there. I'll be there. Jason will be there. You'll be there. And we'll all kind of hang out together and discuss things. That's the official term. Things, stuff. Atlanta United, FC Cincinnati, anything else on your mind? We'll get into all of that as well. So hour number 2, weekend whip around, getting you ready for things. I want to know what you're looking at with Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. I want to know what's on your mind. We did see Yorgos Giacomakis at practice yesterday. He's out bouncing around, and we'll see how he has recovered from that day of practice with the bone bruise. We'll see how the leg has responded today. We'll hear from Gonzalo Pineda later on this morning, and we will lay everything out for the weekend, and we'll see what happens there. The report T-1. So, yeah, it would be today. So we'll find out who's in, who's out, who's not, who's doubtful, probable, possible, maybe, definite, that kind of thing. We'll hear from that a little later on at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Also, noon. It is Soccer's in Session, the live version during the noon hour, and we will get you up to date on your brackets. It was the beginning of day 3, which meant it was the beginning of the even-numbered classifications, the 2, the 4, and the 6. It was girls yesterday and last night, and we did have a couple of surprises, did have a couple of lower seeds knock off some teams when they had home advantage. I was at one of them last night, as a matter of fact. It was Lassiter, the 3 seed, knocking off River Ridge by the final of 4-1. So a 3 seed advances into the next round of the Sweet 16 in that classification. We'll go over all of that coming up at noon, and we're going to be joined by our friends at the Perry Panthers, and we're going to find out what's going on after they had a 10-0 win yesterday as a 1 seed at home in Middle Georgia. And it's going to be interesting in round number 2 next week for Perry, because it is a matchup that is close to our hearts here at SDH. That's a tease. Noon Eastern, once again, it is Soccer's in Session, the live version presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente for all that is you, and all of our other sponsors who've been fantastic with us on the games of the week all season long. I was doing the math, and I have the sheet here. So 18, so 5, 10, was it 10 each? 5, 10. So 28 different locations during the season. 28 different locations during the season. Ended up north of 50 matches that we were able to give to you guys on the network. It was great to go to places we hadn't been before and catch up with some friends old and new, and we'll be obviously following along in the playoffs, and we'll let you know what's going on as we decide champions on the boys and the girls side all across the board. So that's the layout for today, a couple of different places. So once again, you got us, then we take a break. We got to catch up on some folks and catch up with some coaches and get ready for Sunday with Atlanta United 2 and FC Cincinnati 2, which will also be on the network, 2:30 pregame, 3:03 kick. And then noon Eastern, soccer's in session, the live version. We go over the 2, the 4, and the 6 on the girls' side, get you ready for the 2, the 4, and the 6 on the boys' side. And then tonight at Reverb by Hard Rock, come and visit, come and have fun, and we will discuss things. Morning, Alex. Morning, KFC. I know, Michael, it was late Turner time. I know, that's on me. So that's where we are. All right, opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching, however you're watching us this morning, whether it is on the YouTubes, it is on the Twitch, or on the 280-character app. Now, the first opening kickoff, I'm going to bring Maddie in because Maddie was, how do we say this? Maddie was somewhat active on the 280-character app, and I can't remember if it was slightly before midnight or if it was slightly after midnight. And then I know that you were active again early this morning when you had a revelation when it came to the music scene and music that has been released. So if you would please give your review, because I imagine that you have burned a hole in whatever musical listening device that you have employed since about midnight. Go ahead, lay it out, because I've seen 4 stars out of 5, and I've also seen the surprise that folks have had when they realized that the Taylor Swift album was not one, but a double. We found that out at 2 a.m. So if you would please give your review of the Taylor Swift album, the Dead Tortured Poets Society, starring Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Chuck, all that. So I know that you were heavy on 280 character talking about it. So if you would please let everybody know what you were listening to.
Well, initial thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Every song is a banger. Every single song is a banger. It is so good.
Okay.
Went to bed last night. Woke up this morning only to find out that she released 15 more songs. And I was like, I'm shocked and appalled.
It's a double album.
It was a double album drop,
yeah.
Which I should have known. It's Taylor Swift. I should have known it was going to happen, but I was tired, so I had to go to bed. But you best bet that's what I'm going to be doing when we're traveling to Reverb tonight when I'm stuck in 5 o'clock traffic. I'm going to be listening to all of it. That's for sure.
Okay. So 4 stars out of 5 was what I had seen with reviews with other folks. So you're giving every song a banger on the first album or the first and the second album?
Oh, well, I haven't got the chance to listen to some of the songs that she just released. I've only listened to the first part of the album, which was released at midnight. So with that one, I would give that one a 5 out of 5. I really like this album.
Alex is like 90% sure that my son stayed up to listen. So
listen, I did. I stayed up to listen. I was able to listen to the full first one. I in the back of my mind was like, she could release another one at 2 a.m. because there were signs.
Right.
But I was like, I'm tired. And then I woke up this morning and it was true. And my gut instinct was correct. But I could not stay up another hour to listen to it.
No. That's what traffic is for. So
absolutely.
All right. So it's a banger. You've listened to so far, and you're giving it 7 out of 5 possible stars. Am I interpreting correctly? Okay. Just
absolutely.
checking.
And me and Bart are going back and forth now because he said, which you all should follow Bart on on Twitter if you don't.
Yes.
I believe
it's Bartimus Prime 19. Yes.
Yes. He said, I love her, but I'm so mad at her for making me learn 31 new sets of lyrics. And I was like, I don't have the brain power anymore, Bart. I can't do this.
That's why you print them out and then you have them in a loose leaf binder or a 3-ring notebook. That's what you do. You sit there and you print them out. You've got it old school. You've got it all laid out for you. So that way, the onus is just on the recycled paper. It is not on your brain, where you can sit there and just have it almost like a hymnal, like a Swifties hymnal, where you just have the lyrics available to you at any given time.
It's like the Taylor Swift Bible.
Yes, exactly. So the musical Bible is what you need to do. You just need to get like cardstock and print it out, and that way you've got it and find a 3-ring binder and everything's fine. Hutch is saying Taylor's working on her second billion in sales. Not wrong.
Oh, for sure. Are you kidding?
Wrong.
I mean, she's still doing the Eras tour. I mean, like she's racking up the millions, like billions at this point.
Yes, definitely billions at this point. So, I just wanted to get your quick review of what was going on with T Swift and everything that happened at both midnight and at 2 a.m. Eastern time. So, obviously, as we roll on this morning, and you want to drop in, and if there's anything else on your mind, you know that you always are going to crash in and let everybody know what's going on. But you got to catch up with Mike Jeffries yesterday in Charlotte and find out about Atlanta United's new opponent in the Open Cup, too.
I did.
So that's a tease.
It is a little tease.
Yeah, and so we have that coming up in hour number 2. And so Maddie and Mike Jeffries got to catch up, and the discussions have already been laid down between Madison and a friend of the network, Ashley Osiecki, who is in charge of everything communications and media up in Charlotte, that as we get closer to the matchup in a couple of weeks, we're probably going to be doing a preview special. We'll catch up with folks on the Charlotte side and catch up with folks on the United side as well, and we'll lay it all out for what we're looking at in Open Cup with Atlanta and Charlotte in the Alonzo division. And the other half of it is Tormenta and Charleston. So we'll catch up and we'll see what's going on there in a couple of weeks' time. All right, Maddie, we'll see you in a bit.
I will see you all very soon.
Very soon. She admits this. Very, very soon. Okay, the other part of opening kickoff has to do Alex, before we get into the other half of opening kickoff. Alex, me listening to Taylor is like me listening to some great orator giving a powerful speech in Latin. I can tell it's important and convincing, but I don't know what it means. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, legitimately, I am right there with you. I couldn't tell you more than maybe a couple of songs. I enjoy them, but, I'm not going to be like, 99.72% of the rest of humanity and purchase them. I will leave that to others, and they can enjoy it and go over and over. And then next time Bart is on, like, we can get into this discussion as well. But yeah, it's like, I get it. I understand its importance, but I'll leave it to others to let me know what's going on. So Alex, I'm right there with you because I'm of a certain demographic, and I just trust in others that they understand fully what the impact of this new double album is. So that was my thoughts there. All right. So I mentioned laser pointers, and, with laser pointers, Alex says, I see the artistry, but it doesn't speak to me. No, I'm not hating either. It's just, I understand its place. It's just something that I haven't gotten to. Laser pointers are bad. Okay. We know this. And we see them a lot, especially in international competitions, where you see folks lining up to the penalty spot. I remember an incident with Mo Salah where basically he's got, and I think it was an AFCON, if I remember correctly, where he's stepping up to the spot and literally he's got like 17 different laser pointers focused on him as he is going to the spot. Literally, it's like he's walking up to the spot. He's about ready to take his penalty kick. And like I said, I think it was an AFCON. And you see all these green, elements of light going up and off of his jersey and things like this. And you're going, man, I don't even know how you concentrate in something like that. And a guy like Mo Salah just absolutely bangs it in there. And it's something that, it's just something that is out there, and it's just, first and foremost, I get it. It's like, you're taking your fandom to that next level and sitting there going, how do I make this increasingly difficult? And Hutch gets into the blink reflex and the twitch pitch. We'll get into that in just a second. But what happens when you have an opponent do it? Literally an opponent, like you're on the same plane, you're in the same dimension, you're an active participant, and you have an opponent do it. That happened in Liga MX. Tigres keeper Nahuel Guzman has been suspended for 11 games. 11. Fined an undisclosed amount and assigned an undisclosed amount of community service by Liga MX. Guzman was given the punishment after he was seen. I mean, dude, you are on the field of play and you've got a laser pointer aimed at an opponent. You are on the field and you've got a laser pointer. First and foremost, props to you. It's got to be like the foreign object in wrestling. You kind of hide it someplace and all of a sudden you pull it out and you sit there and you go, eh. Given the punishment after he was seen shining a laser pointer at the Monterrey keeper during a game between Tigres and Monterrey earlier this month. Caught by cameras shining a laser pointer toward the field from a suite. For a second, I thought that Guzman was actually in the field of play, but he was in a suite. Okay, so that's but still, dude, you're a fellow player. You're a fellow player. And this would be a question for Jess. Is this a violation, and how egregious a violation is this of GK Union? When you are a keeper and you are in a suite, you're in your street clothes, you're upstairs, and you've got a laser pointer and you shine it at an opposing keeper. This should kick you out of GK Union. Literally, this should. I mean, this should be like point of no return, no tribunal with, Brad Gazan, Stephen Fry, Elliot Panico, Tim Melia, and Earl Edwards Jr. A tribunal of 5. You don't need that. Nahuel Guzman has probably been booted out of GK Union. I mean, just walk out the door, hand me your card. We're ripping it up right here, and get your clothes, get your ID. Clean out your locker in the GK Union, and you're gone. Seriously, you're out. No independent tribunal needed. But that is a question for Jess. Caught shining a laser pointer from a suite during a match, after which Monterrey has filed an official complaint with Liga MX's disciplinary committee. Injured for the match, so Guzman was upstairs. Monterrey came back from 3-1 down to get a 3-3 draw thanks to a header in the match between the two Monterrey-based sides. The derby is referred to locally as Clásico Regiomontano, Mountain Region Classic. Guzman is said in the complaint to have directed the laser toward Monterrey keeper Esteban Andrada. After the match, Andrada took his Instagram to offer an expletive-laden post that criticized Guzman's behavior, and Andrada may face a sanction himself for one of the slurs that he used in his Instagram. Videos circulating on social media show a figure resembling Guzman, and this is from our friends at The Athletic, in the luxury box with his teammates with his arms folded, shining the laser onto the field of play. Monterrey confirmed to The Athletic that the first video linked in the article is from security cameras. So they've got the box. Security cameras are locked in on the box, and the video that they release is apparently of Nahuel Guzman. Tigres obviously did not reply for comment. Later that evening, Guzman criticized the match officials in an Instagram post. Maybe folks should just back away from Instagram in situations like this. And suggested that Monterrey's stoppage time equalizer never should have counted as the ball wasn't properly placed on the corner marker, and the corner itself was taken in the 10th minute of added on time after just 8 minutes had been signaled. I hate to break it to players, but sometimes officials will go further than the minutes assigned in stoppage time because they're adding time because of events that might have happened. Or maybe because they feel like it. But still, 8 minutes isn't always 8 minutes. As a keeper, Nahuel Guzman should know that. And laser pointers, it is pointed out in the article, can cause significant damage if shown directly into the eye. And I can guarantee you that there are some fans out there that would be more than happy to sit there and go, yeah, I'm putting it right in his eye, you know. Guzman's previous stunts include performing a magic trick before facing a PK, hiding underneath a tarp after being sent off. I saw that one. That one was pretty funny. And numerous other interactions with opposition players. 458 appearances with Tigre since joining the club a decade ago. Second most in club history, part of the Argentina squad of the 2018 World Cup. So, Nahuel Guzman suspended for 11 games for a laser pointer from a suite. Hutch letting us know. Blink reflex, also called aversion response, effective enough to protect the eye from any potential laser damage with lasers that have an output power less than 5 milliwatts. Longer eye exposures can cause more permanent eye damage, including retinal burns. And Hutch says, I'd be in favor of anyone doing that here being immediately arrested for assault and battery. Alex, I heard someone say that this punishment was too harsh. I disagree. This is like cheating. Yeah, I mean, to me, it is. And it goes to the point that I was making that you're violating GK Union here. What compels you in the first place? What does Nahuel Guzman? He's looking in the mirror. He's at his condo, or he's at his high-rise apartment, getting ready to go with his club to the match. Morning, Abby. And so Nahuel Guzman, he's hanging out. He's getting ready. He's brushing his teeth, doing whatever, styling and profiling in front of the mirror in the bathroom. What would compel Nahuel Guzman, other than previous antics, to sit there and say, you know what? I think I'm going to grab a laser pointer and I'm going to wander into this derby and shine it into the various, proximity location of my rival keeper. I think this is something that I should do. You would maybe think perhaps that the voice in the mirror coming back from him as he's perhaps brushing his teeth or, using mouthwash or styling and profiling, using the hair gel and getting ready to go. You would think that the voice in the mirror would sit there and go, no, bruh, don't do that. But Nahuel Guzman, in some form or fashion, decided to sit there and go, you know what? I think I'm going to grab a laser pointer. Morning, Andy. To you and everybody at the O&B. I think this is a fantastic idea. I'm going to grab my laser pointer that I have buried in my bag of tricks, my gag bag for all of my magic tricks and all the things that I do on the field that people think are funny and get all the yucks. I'm going to grab a laser pointer. I'm not playing tonight. I'm up in a suite with my buds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shine a laser pointer, although the laser pointer's got fantastic range. If it's from where the suite was that they had it from like ground level, there's some other angles. I mean, that's like 200 level laser pointer stuff. But Nahuel Guzman decides this is a great idea. B, it's a great idea against a fellow keeper. I think we definitely need to get a ruling here from Jess about laser pointers and shining them at other keepers. Legitimately. Like I said, I get it as fans do it as a thing toward the leading scorers and your talismans and PKs and things like that. You're trying to unnerve them. I get it. I know that that's what Nahuel Guzman thought he was doing. But hey, I'm going to do it against my fellow keeper. I think this is a fantastic idea. This is great. And I don't know why he didn't think he wasn't going to get busted for a triple negative. But yeah, I would love to know the thought process here. I would absolutely love to know the thought process. So what I'm going to do is, while we're talking about it and while it is fresh in my head, I'm going to text Jess and I'm going to ask if should Nahuel Guzman be kicked out of the GK Union for what he did in Liga MX. The GK, it'd be good if I could spell, out of the GK Union for what he did in Liga MX. So what I am doing is I'm getting an official ruling from inside the GK Union itself. I'm getting an official ruling about it and getting the actual GK Union inside skinny. Should Nahuel Guzman be kicked out of GK Union? I'm asking Jessica Charman right now. We'll see what Jess's official response is here. Hutch. Bet he could afford to have his goalie gloves tricked out with some laser pointers for use during a game. See, now if that happened, that would be tremendous. I mean, that would be some absolute brilliant Q-ness. The character from the James Bond books, movies, what have you. I mean, that would be some, I think it was Q. Q was the brains of the operation, came up with all of the gadgets. If Tigris had a Q on staff to have it like, as a part of the apparatus that monitors your heart rate or something, and you sit there and you tap it, and all of a sudden the laser pointer comes out, and it comes out from your jersey at a point. Or if you did it like Spider-Man, and you sit there and you flip the glove over, and it's from the underside over the wrist, and you sit there and you go, eh. Maybe that would probably be the way to do it, because if your gloves are face down, palms down, normally you want to use them and you sit there and you flip them over. Not that we're really giving folks ideas. Ropes, I didn't need that mental image. But if you sit there and you did it like Spider-Man, you sit there and you flip the gloves over and you're like, eh. You do it that way, because then you turn your wrists back over, palms down, and nobody knows that you've got it. I think it would be something like that. So, yeah, Hutch, as long as it's the Bond Q, yes. Yes, as long as it is the Bond Q. So, yeah, so we have officially consulted GK Union here about Nahuel Guzman and his 11-match suspension for laser pointer from the suite against a fellow keeper. So we are waiting for an official ruling. So we've talked to Jess about it. That's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch and YouTube and on the Twitters. So don't forget to use the QR code there. Click into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And then what you can go from there is use the code SoccerDownHere15. 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiative stuff that they have earmarked that is cool with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, housekeeping. Here's the Marshall Islands scarf. Thanks to everybody who has been contributing so far. And thanks to those of you who have been looking at Maddie, as she has turned into an international superstar when it comes to marketing and grassroots campaigns for the sport of soccer. Go to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website, and in their app, you can see Maddie modeling this scarf here. Thanks to everybody who has contributed once again. This is our way of giving back to the beautiful game and helping out the Marshall Islands, the last nation on this planet to start an actual national soccer program. And we followed their run, and we followed all their activities. And this is going to be something that is going to be a perpetual project for those of us here at SDH. This is how we are trying to give back and help out. Proceeds go straight to the Federation. $32. You can DM me, you can email me, email the show, whatever, and we'll figure out payment plan. If you want the Abstermobile to deliver it to you, it is $32. And Abby gets to say hi, and you get to say hi back. If you want it delivered in the mail, if it's outside the range of the Abstermobile, 32 plus 5, so 37 total. Once again, you email me, you DM me, we figure out the way to get it to you, and you get to help out something from the absolute beginnings, the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation building their national soccer program. So that is what we are staring at with help from our friends there. They actually were like, yes, this would be cool if you did this, because I'm sure that you've bought the jersey. I'm sure that you have, perhaps bought the bucket hat. And so here's your chance once again to add to it, because if it was a winter scarf, it would probably be very, very hot and sticky. And for folks in the Marshall Islands, it might end up being like a blanket or something during the winter months. And I use that in quotation marks. So that's your way to help out. Once again, DM the show, DM me. You can email the show, email me. We can figure it out. You want to see Abby, it's $32. You want to have Abby deliberate in the Abstermobile, If you want us to go through the mail, 32+5. We've sent scarves to our buddy Hudson, who helps us out with design. And you can get Hudson's designs and other things on our website. You can get all of our gear. Go to soccerdownhere.net, and you can click on the banners, and you can get your SDH gear. Hudson has got his. I've shipped it to California. I've shipped it to Texas. I've shipped it to Alabama. I've shipped it to Hudson, all points in between. And so you can get your Marshall Island scarf as a part of the process right there at just reach out to me, reach out to the show, and that's how you get to help folks out. So once again, the Marshall Island Soccer Federation, you can download their app, go to their website, see Maddie modeling it, and the very, very cool stuff that we get to help out and get to help out some stuff from the ground level. So very, very cool there. Yes, and Hutch, I have shipped everywhere, man. I have definitely shipped everywhere, no doubt. So, all right. Yesterday, Open Cup matchups came out. For those of you that missed the watch along, we kind of went through everything, and there were some interesting elements that were attached to it. But the ones that are closest to us have to do with Atlanta United, have to do with Charlotte Independence, have to do with South Georgia Tormenta. And Darren, by the way, was on the show with us, and we got to catch up with Darren in the airport when it came to the decisions in the Alonzo division and figuring out where folks are going to be. So the way that it is, Charleston Battery, South Georgia Tormenta, Atlanta United, Charlotte Independence. We know the date and the time for Atlanta United and Charlotte Independence, and that is once again going to be at the Fraction. So you get your chance to go and see the Charlotte Independence in the round of 32 in the Open Cup. And so that was announced yesterday. And so you're looking at that, and the winners in the two elements in that particular division, they will square off, I think, 2 weeks later. May the 7th, 7:30 at the Fraction. It is Charlotte Independence and Atlanta United. And once again, the winner of that one will go on and take on Charleston Battery or South Georgia Tormenta. Atlanta United, one of the 8 MLS clubs that dove in this round. USL Championship had another 8 dive in, and the way that they had it is that you couldn't play, 2 new teams couldn't play each other, and 2 teams that won in the previous round couldn't play each other. And so that was where you were kind of trying to figure out, okay, who's doing what and where. So matchups, once again, in the divisions, you end up with Tampa Bay and Birmingham. You've got FC Dallas hosting Memphis 901. Memphis 901 could not host, and so they ended up with a road game. Union Omaha hosting Sporting Kansas City. Pittsburgh and FC Tulsa. Seattle and Lou City. And this was the group where you had 2 in the West and 2 in the East. The U.S. Open Cup folks sit there and say, well, we try to make it as geographically pleasing as we can. And we try to get our groups to be bunched together as best we can, but there are some times when we just can't. So you end up with great matchups. You end up with Lou City going to Seattle. That one's going to be a fun one to look at late at night. And then North Carolina FC and Phoenix Rising. Everything in one of the far west groups is going to go through Sacramento. Sacramento is going to host Monterey Bay. San Jose is hosting Oakland. And I think, honestly, Sacramento right now, they're the favorite in that group because of how San Jose is right now. And once again, hour number 2, we'll go through the whip around, get you ready for the weekend across all the divisions, catch up with Mike Jeffries, as Maddie did yesterday, about a bunch of things. Vegas Lights and LAFC. You're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Vegas Lights have turned things around with Joey Bats, Jose Bautista as one of their owners. And then, as Ricky says, Loudoun going to Orange County. At least they're heading to a place where they can fly in directly, I guess. I think that there might be flights from Washington, D.C. to John Wayne. But Loudoun to Orange County. And you know that someone in that group was going to get mad, and it's Loudoun. Loudoun gets to go from one end of the planet to the other. Not that it wouldn't necessarily be a part of the USL Championship schedule during the regular season once every other couple of years, but Loudoun gets to go to Orange County. Indy 11, and this is Indy 11 in their group, everything's going to go through the mic. Indy 11 hosting San Antonio, and I know that Harry, who is a part of our watch along yesterday afternoon, was intrigued. Detroit City has to go to Houston. And so you had 2 teams in Texas. You had 2 teams in the Midwest, not quite 4 teams that were grouped together. So Indy 11 hosting San Antonio, that's a tough one under normal circumstances in USL Championship, but to get a berth in the Sweet 16. And then Detroit City, who knocked off Michigan Stars, and they are going to Houston. Then you end up with yet another group out west, your final 4 teams period. It was another one of those where it's 3 and then somebody was going to get mad. But it might end up being the team having to travel that is going to be mad, because the group in and of itself, New Mexico United and RSL, that's the 2s. That's the second pairing. The first pairing, Colorado Springs travels to NYCFC 2. That would have probably been Hartford. Once again, a USL Championship matchup, what have you. But because NYCFC 2 ended up surviving the 3 red cards in the match, a 10v9 finish, all of the hot mics on the parabs, and the CSB event staff protecting the center ref from numerous Hartford players at the end of that game, as it went 120 minutes. Late goal by NYCFC 2. NYCFC 2 put their hand in the air, and they're like, yep, we'll host. So Colorado Springs is the one that gets mad, and everything funnels in that direction. So in theory, you could have a situation where, and I'm guessing that this game is going to be played at, I'm guessing it's going to be played at St. John's. So that to me is the first question of all of this. NYCFC 2 traditionally plays at St. John's in front of a crowd of about, 7. And I mean that literally, like 7 people. NYCFC 2, and this is as it was presented on the NYCFC 2 website, it will be at Belson Stadium. It will be at Belson Stadium. So you're going to have Colorado Springs switchbacks traveling east, and I guess you could fly into whatever airport. So flying into whatever airport is fine. So since it's at St. John's and it's in Queens, so that probably means that you're flying into LaGuardia. So yeah, that's not too bad. Belson Stadium seats 2,168 people. Hashtag Magic of the Cup. So you end up with the hashtag Magic of the Cup involving NYCFC 2, who's like, yeah, we'll host. And Colorado Springs ends up being the team that's mad. And get this, because the H1 setup, the number ones, the home and away ones, were NYCFC 2 and Colorado Springs. You literally could have, if NYCFC 2 gets the win in the round of 32, they could be hosting again in the round of 16. So everybody in the West in this group would have to work their way east to a 2,168 seat stadium as it currently sits. I mean, you probably could bring in artificial bleachers. You could bring in the metal bleachers if you wanted to, maybe get it to 2,500 if you felt compelled. But where Loudoun is traveling west, and they're the one team in the group that has to go to the west, to play Orange County, as Ricky says. Everybody in the western part of the last group gets to travel east and go to St. John's. Capacity 2,168. And so for those of you that have watched, say, Atlanta United 2 play NYCFC 2, that's where they are. They're at Belson Stadium on the campus of St. John's. 2,168 folks. And I will be intrigued to see how many travel from Colorado Springs to Belson Stadium in Queens. How many Colorado Springs folks will travel to LaGuardia and go to St. John's for this one? So, and Andy, of course, a part of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, who is up, by the way, before 7 o'clock, and he's already in the Twitch pitch. Yes, for County. Yes, Loudoun to Orange County. The Switchbacks have had a really, let's just say, intriguing and uncharacteristic year. Andy's like, Switchbacks aren't advancing no matter who they play. So then that would mean that the other two teams in that group would once again travel east, winner of New Mexico United and RSL in the 16, because NYCFC2 is in that lead slot. So you want the hashtag magic of the cup, you might get it in that group. And Ricky, to your point, and we were all wishing for this, Tormenta Atlanta in Statesboro in the round of 16. It would have to be at Tormenta Stadium. Paulson Stadium does not have the dimensions as much as, like I said, maybe if we went 5-on-5 or 7-on-7 and did it, maybe went lengthwise or something. Paulson does not have, in its new configuration, it does not have the space to be approved for a soccer pitch. So it would have to be at Tormenta Stadium. We're catching up with Ian Cameron later this morning, and Maddie's going to ask about Open Cup and the Miami FC and the chaos that happened there. So Maddie's going to catch up with Ian Cameron later this morning, and we'll get some answers from Ian as well about the week that was and getting ready for the new round of Open Cup, plus the weekend with a matchup against Greenville. But, Ricky, to your point, this would have been the ultimate. If you get into the round of 16, say Tormenta wins. I know that Dell's ears are burning. Say Tormenta beats Charleston. Atlanta wins, and they beat Charlotte Independence. Then if you had a situation where it was supposed to be Tormenta hosting, it would have to be at Tormenta Stadium, Optum Medicine Field and Tormenta Stadium, because much to the chagrin of everyone on the planet that is a Georgia-loving individual, you could not have it at Paulson Stadium, in as much as it would be a fantastic environment, and there would be an invasion of Atlanta United and Five Stripe fans from all over, and it would be a fantastic environment. But it's going to have to be at Tormenta Stadium if that is the matchup coming up in the round of 16, but you got to get through the round of 32 first. But yes, Ricky, Georgia does in fact deserve a Tormenta Atlanta matchup in the Sweet 16. But like I said, it would have to be, if it's in Statesboro, it would have to be there. It would have to be at Tormenta Stadium. It could not be at Paulson. Drat! You want to talk about, that would have been epic. If that had gone down, if that had been an option, that would have been absolutely tremendous. Okay, so we have an update. Laser pointer as Guzman is in a suite, shines it at opposing keeper on the field of play. Okay, so laser pointer as Guzman is in a suite, shines it at opposing keeper on the field of play. All right, so now we're getting someplace with the GK Union discussion. So I've told Jess what's going on, but just the people. I mean, the draw of Paulson would be just the massive humanity, Alex. I mean, it's just when you would have 20,000 people in one venue, just for an event like this. When it comes to and where soccer has grown and evolved here, specifically in the state of Georgia, but in the Southeast in general, you would have, and I can't say that. 20,000 folks, just the idea of having a round of 60. Yeah. Just the large seating capacity, just, where Optum Sports Medicine Field is in the neighborhood of 5. And that the Van Tassels and Tormenta would send, they would have, temporary bleachers, the whole thing. You might have 5,000 people there. If you went across Veterans Memorial Parkway, put it in the football stadium on the Georgia Southern campus, it would be a great statement for where soccer in the state of Georgia and in the southeastern United States has come. To have an Open Cup matchup between a League One franchise and the MLS franchise in your footprint going to the Georgia Southern Football Stadium, American football, having 20,000 screaming people there for an Open Cup round of 16. Basically, it was just for seating capacity. So, that's the main draw of it. Just the notion of having a mass of humanity celebrating two professional franchises in the state of Georgia playing for a place in the final 8 in Open Cup. So that would be it. So that's the main draw. When I gave Jess the statement of laser pointer as Guzman is in his suite, shines it at opposing keeper on the field of play, Jess gave me a question that I can't repeat. So suspension, 11 matches in Liga MX. I should just try and have Jess on to talk about it. Suspension, 11 matches in Liga MX plus community service. So yeah, Jess's eyebrow is raised after what happened. So Alex says, I pretend Georgia Southern doesn't have a football team since the incident a few years ago. Yes. Yeah, considering what happened at the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus, I could understand why. But yeah, that was just the idea of having a large environment. The hashtag magic of the cup, where NYCFC 2 could be hosting, if they win, they would be hosting for a round of 16 matchup in a 2,168-seat stadium on a college campus. Going to the extreme to show everyone in U.S. soccer that the South's got something to say. Just the extremes. So that's where we are. But yeah, so that's the lineups. It's the 7th and the 8th for Atlanta United. It is on the 7th, and it is with Charlotte Independence, May 7th, 7:30 up at the Fraction. So that's the Alonzo division, and that is your Open Cup and laying things out. So tell you what, here's what we'll do. Getting ready for weekend whip around. Let me ask you this. When it comes to Atlanta and FC Cincinnati, you can have some time to think about it because we'll be at Reverb tonight at 7:30. Be there early. Mother Nature better not anger the rest of us here. But gather your thoughts in hour number 2 when it comes to Atlanta and FC Cincinnati. I want to know what's on your mind when it comes to this particular match. I want to know what your thoughts, concerns, anticipation, what your plans are, that kind of a thing. Saturday night, 7:30, 7:40 kick on Apple TV. Don't forget, you can set your local radio option if you are not in the building and listening to Mike and Jason in every inch of the loudspeakers once you're in the concourse. But if you're not at the match, you can set your local home audio option if you have Apple TV. You can set it to listen to Mike and Jason. They're back on 92.9 The Game, and it will be, once again, hour before, so 6:30 pregame with Abe Gordon, Garrett Chapman, 7:40 kick, and then a full postgame show after with Abe and Garrett on 92.9 The Game. Last week it was on Star 94. This week they're back on 92.9 The Game because the basketball season is over for the Atlanta Hawks. So everything else, I think, on the run-in, unless there's something else going on, will be on 92.9 The Game. So 92.9 The Game, 6:30 pregame, 7:30, 7:40 kick on Apple TV. Set your local radio option if you are not in the building. I want to know what your concerns are. I want to know what your anticipation is. I want to know what you're thinking about coming into this particular matchup. So, yes, it is the return of Miles Robinson to Mercedes-Benz. I know that you are going to give him the standard round of applause when his name is announced. And if you wish to boo respectfully. Don't go off the rails about it and, like boo every touch or something like that. Just be respectful. It will be interesting to see what it looks like for Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. Maddie Cruz has her hand in the air, and she has crashed the party. Maddie, what's on your mind?
I'm going to be quoting a familiar goalkeeper that we all know in the name of Brad Guzan, who said in media, wish him all the best of luck. Mm-hmm. But for those 90 minutes, I hope he doesn't perform well.
Yes, exactly.
But I mean, you got to cheer for Miles. He did a lot of good things here. Yeah. And but once the game starts, it's all business.
Tip of the hat, tip of the hat, Miles. Thanks for coming by. Love you,
hat, but I hope that Gigi or Rios, whoever is on top, is able to squeeze by you and get in the back of the net.
Yes. So Dell is Ian this morning. Happy for Marseille's win this morning. Yes, Dell is one of our resident League Ians, and so Dell is all over the board. Dell, we were talking about the U.S. Open Cup extravaganza and the Alonso division. So I want to know what you were thinking about the layout now that you get to play South Georgia Tormenta for the 427th time, and this time an Open Cup. Alex, with a public service announcement about Saturday, says the halftime meetup typically held at the artist formerly known as the Heineken Bar in 132 being moved for the match, meeting up by DJEU this week. So everybody in the halftime meetup for SDH, go to DJEU's spot and go ahead and hang out with DJEU.
Oh, well, speaking of Saturday.
Yes.
A fun little thing that people in the Twitch pitch might be excited about.
Okay.
Normally, we're all there, getting interviews, doing all the fun things. I will be at the match attending as a fan this Saturday. So
you're going to be a civilian. Okay.
Well, I'm going to be a civilian, but we're actually doing a fun little story here on SDH. I wanted to kind of get the opportunity to see what the fan perspective is like and write a fun story about the atmosphere in Atlanta. So if any of y'all want to come, I don't know, find me, give me a quote, and we can talk about being a fan of ATL, let me know.
Okay. So Maddie will be on. So Abby wants to know where you're going to be sitting or standing.
Dell, that was me.
Oh no,
Dell, that was me.
Lady Electra jersey. Oh,
Dell.
Oh,
Jay Heaps.
Oh,
if you're listening,
oh,
I was promised.
Wow.
And I still have yet to be given. Pain and sorrow is what it is.
Oh, wow. Dell goes straight for the heart with the Lady Electra jersey. No, it has not been shipped in, Dell. So no, we are still waiting for this. So, yep. So Maddie will be out and around, and so if you wish to have a conversation and be included in a piece with that Maddie is going to be piecing together, then be sure to make sure that you know where Maddie is and you know where you are. And maybe Maddie goes to the halftime meetup over by DJEU and then gets a lot of her sound and a lot of her stuff there. So that way you can get all of your information in one place. You just go to halftime and you go to the thing, you go to the meetup, and then you go. Maybe
absolutely
like a one-stop shop kind of a thing.
The DJEU, I'm trying to remember where that is in the Benz.
It's over in the other, it's the supporters section end zone, and he's over by the Mercedes-Benz that's on a 45-degree angle over by the gate. The gate 2.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly where that is. I got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's right there. And so you end up with, you can get all of your stuff with a one-stop shop. Tip of section 136, and so
yeah, because I think me and some of my friends, because it's KSU night for those of you. Who don't
yes,
know.
It is. That is absolutely true.
It's KSU night, and so a lot of my friends were all going. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I believe we're all going to be sitting in supporter section.
Okay.
All right.
So you'll be right over there anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So Abby says tip of section 136. Son has a club seats with a friend, seat that you can see what upstairs is like. And David, by the way, David has already brought out the black helicopters. David says that when you mention the fact that you do not have your Lady Electra kit from Jay Heaps, he thinks that you doing this is intentional. You're giving the Electra kit free publicity every show.
No, I just want the kit. I'm really upset. I was promised the kit. And I have yet to be given it. So, I think it's a cool kit, but I was promised.
And so,
bat signal has been sent.
Oh yeah, it has. So, and so Abby's saying, if you want to come and sit, come to section 206. And so there you go. But yes, the Legion had a bit of a problem with Chattanooga Red Wolves. They were not wearing the Lady Electras, and they had to go the extra 30 minutes before beating the Red Wolves 4-2. To get into the next round. And so maybe this is part of the deal. David says he thinks that Jay not sending the kit is the conspiracy.
Ooh, okay. That
there
is
you
interesting.
Yes. And so Alex, what did we say about promises yesterday? Yes. And Andy over at the Orange and Black Soccer Cast out on the left coast says the Orange County Open Cup strip is amazing. Hope they look as good in person as the mock-up. Please send link, Andy.
Yeah,
So
what?
let us know where we can look at this bad boy and we can sit there and go, ooh, we like that. All right. So when it comes to, and we'll talk about more of this tonight if folks do not have their immediate thoughts in their brain when it comes to Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati coming up on Saturday night. But off the top of your head, Maddie, with what you have developed so far in your week at training for Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati, what have been your takeaways in training as they head into this matchup with FC Cincinnati, where, looking at the juice boxes, Atlanta United is on the minus side?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the message, obviously, leaving the Philadelphia Union match kind of left a sour taste in everyone's mouth a little bit. But from looking at the film, they all said, that it's just those little moments of like lack of concentration and that they have to be on all the time, especially in a match like that. And you're going up against Cincinnati, who kind of plays in a very similar way on paper. They kind of play a very similar style. So you already kind of know what to expect going into Cincinnati. But yeah, I mean, the big message from all of them is just we got to keep playing our game and we just have to stay focused and we have to clean up some of the little small things that were lacking. But I mean, from Gonzalo and them, and from my perspective too, it was a very well performance from the team. I thought it was, but it's just those small moments. But those small moments can cost you an entire match, so you have to be careful.
Yep, and so that's where Atlanta United is. Andy, go ahead and make it a public. If there is a public link for the Orange County Open Cup kit, go ahead and let everybody else see it, so we all know where we're spending our money when it comes to kits and Festivus and getting gifts like that. Right now, when looking at the juice boxes, Atlanta United is on the minus side. We talked about it with Nico yesterday, and we'll see if the numbers have changed / rotated in any way when it comes to the weekend. And right now it's kind of drifted back toward the middle. Atlanta United right now is even money at plus 100. Your draws a plus 266. FC Cincinnati in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, is a plus 254. And so that's what we're looking at with Atlanta United. In practice yesterday, Yorgos Giacomakis had a bandage around his knee, but he was practicing yesterday. Like I said, we'll find out more today as to whether or not the talisman, that if Gigi will be there and he will be starting, is he going to have limited minutes? Is he going to be doing one thing or another? So we will find out the extent of Gigi's activity today when Gonzalo Pineda talks to the media. Last time out for Cincinnati, Cincinnati loses to CF Montreal 2-1. Some guy named Joseph Martinez scored at 45 plus 4 for a 1-0 lead. Yuya Kubo scored in the 58th to tie it, and then Ariel Lassiter scored 4 minutes later. And Cincinnati could not find an equalizer for the final 30 minutes of that match. The way that Cincinnati lined up last time, going up against Montreal, you had Aaron Bupenza. Well, actually, let's go from the back. So we'll go from the back, and we'll tell you how it was laid out last time. Alec Can in net. And this is one of the questions. Is it going to be Alec Can? Is it going to be Evan Loro? Evan Loro is we've seen Evan Loro with Red Bulls too. So for those of us that have followed Atlanta United too over the last handful of seasons, you got to see Evan Loro for Red Bulls too. So it could be Alec Can, could be Evan Loro. And it was laid out in their lineup from Pat Noonan that it was a back three, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. But it's a 3-4-1-2, 3-4-3, 5-3-2, something in that way. The starting 11 last time for FC Cincinnati. We'll go with the 3 at the back. Ian Murphy, Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson. And we all know about Matt Miazga and his temper. We know that Miazga has a tendency to run the engine a little hot. And I think that when you look at Matt Miazga and he is faced with the premise of going against Yorgos Akamakis or someone who is faster or someone that can cause him problems, it presents an issue for Matt Miazga. And I think that is something that you've got to keep an eye on. Probably running more at, say, if the lineup is the same, you're probably running down the right-hand side and you're forcing the work to Murphy and Miazga. Last time out against Montreal, Miazga, 90 minutes full, 4 clearances, 3 blocks, a pick, a tackle, a dribble past, 4 of 7 on his duels, had a foul, 79% passing, 2 for 7 on long ball. So that was Matt Miazga last time out. If you want to run it Miazga, Murphy, and Luka Orellano, then that means that it's going to be Brooks Lennon, Sava Lobjanidze, and the activity up that right-hand side. That's what your matchup is. Like I said, taking the Cincinnati lineup as it was against Montreal and applying it to the lineup we think it's going to be for Atlanta United. Miles is the right back in this 3-back setup. DeAndre Yedlin is either wing to Miles or playing up a little further in the midfield. Midfield 4 was from left to right, Orellano, Pavel Buka, Obina Wobodo, and DeAndre Yedlin. So if you thought that you could run at DeAndre Yedlin with him, with Messi and friends, you probably still have the same mindset. But once again, you've got Miles there to help out Yedlin, and that's a different rush. So the activity for Atlanta might be up the right-hand side, at least at first blush. Then the front 3, the forward 3, Lucho Acosta, and then the 2 up top, Aaron Bupenza and Yuya Kubo, left to right. So with Lucho Acosta, troublemaker. We all know it doesn't matter what jersey Lucho Acosta is wearing against Atlanta United, troublemaker. So much like what we're thinking with the defense for Cincinnati trying to pin in Thiago Almada, probably the same with with Atlanta's defense and Lucho Acosta. So you probably will have a situation with Bartosz Sliš, Tristan Muyumba, trying to make sure that Lucho Acosta doesn't breathe. The second Lucho Acosta gets the ball, or you're even, to use a basketball term, you're even fronting Lucho Acosta to make sure that he does not get the ball, that he doesn't get it in transition, that he doesn't hang on to it a lot when it comes to when he is in space. Against Montreal in a loss, he had a 7.8 on SofaScore. 1 assist, 1 shot on target, 1 blocked, 3 out of 5 on the dribble, 80% passing on 79 touches, 2 key passes, 3 for 3 on his long balls, 1 big chance created, 1/2 his ground duels, was fouled 1 time, and that got him a 7.8. Okay, sure. Don't let Lucho Acosta breathe. Yuya Kubo, Bupenza, both dangerous in their own ways. Yuya Kubo is a wanderer. Just because you see him in a graphic in a particular location does not mean he's going to stay there. But I think first and foremost, you don't let Lucho Acosta breathe. It's like Rocky and Apollo in Rocky 1. When Mickey's talking to Rocky in the corner, don't let him breathe. And there was a word in there too, but I'm not going to use it. Don't let him breathe. Don't give him the space to create. You pin down Lucho Acosta, you try to have Kubo and Bupenza be the ones to beat you. But I think that looking at the lineup, like I said, applying the last lineup from last week to the Atlanta lineup that we would anticipate, it's going to be up the right-hand side in the attack for Atlanta. You work toward Murphy and Miazga, And then when Miles and DeAndre Yedlin want to cheat over to try to prevent things in the midfield, that's when you go with a big switch up the left-hand side. That's when Caleb Wiley gets involved. But I think it's up the right-hand side.
I'm sorry. I just have to laugh. Dell's comment is making me lose my mind.
Getting back to the discussions of how they hate Evan Loro. Battery fans apparently hate Evan Loro and used to tempt him with a box of Krispy Kreme donuts behind goal. Okay. I mean, I see that. I see that. I absolutely do. No, I get that completely. And, because it's Krispy Kreme donuts, you can't go wrong. You just can't. You can't go wrong with Krispy Kreme donuts. That's very, very Hull City of Orange County. That's very, very Hull City. Very, very, except it's orange and black north and south stripes. It's very, very cool. But yeah, it reminds me of like Hull City. But very, very cool. Very basic. You've got the three important logos in your sponsor in the front. Hummel, Open Cup, and Orange County's logo with Hogue. I don't know what Hogue is, but I take it that they've invested a decent amount of money to be on the front of the jersey for Orange County. So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But you look at, let's see if it's. But Dell, if you're just tempting him with Krispy Kreme donuts, shouldn't you be tempting him with something more Charleston-y than Krispy Kremes? Krispy Kremes are far more, able to be grabbed by the goalie glove, but maybe there might be something else you tempt him with. But of course, it might get messy if you try to tempt him with things like with more Charleston seafoody kinds of things. So okay, so I'll defer and I'll set I will understand the idea of the Krispy Kreme donut. I get that. And Tom Russo says hopes Lucho wears Sleesh like a winter coat. I think that, like I said, I think that the Bart and Muyumba, Bartok Sleesh and Muyumba, they're either going to trade off or they're going to almost double team Lucho Acosta the entire match. I think that if you're in the stands watching this one, or if you're watching it on television, watch the matchup and see how Lucho Acosta is marked and see what it looks like. How much space does he get to breathe? I think that's the biggest thing. And
Acosta has had our number for a while, which Michael said. Acosta has a good record against Atlanta for sure. So I would mark him 110%.
Yep. And so you're looking at that as my number one is for defense for Atlanta. Make sure Acosta doesn't breathe. And to Michael's point, yes, Maxi Morales, Lucho Acosta, you get lost in traffic. Honestly, you do, because if you're looking for a certain player, then all you got to do is hide. You hide behind matchups and you try to sit there. It's almost like your lineup is setting a pick for you, and you just try to find the open space. Literally, you're that shooting guard that is working your way around a pick, and when you've got the open space, that's when you're able to drive and shoot. And so, if you want to take it into a basketball analogy, that's what you're looking at. Andy, remember when Laura blew out his knee celebrating a playoff win, couldn't play in the USL final? I do remember that. Thank you, Andy. Hogue is a healthcare provider out west. Thank you. Dell says it was an empty box tied to a stick. Okay. Got a good chuckle. You can't put shrimp and grits on a stick. That's true. Maybe if you froze it, you got a shrimp and grits sickle, something like that. Maybe that would work, but it would only work until everything thawed out. But yeah, so okay, so I see the value of the transportability of the Krispy Kreme donut. But that for me is what I'm looking at when it comes to the defense of Atlanta up against Cincinnati. And like I said, it's limited options for Cincinnati offensively. It's Lucho and Kubo and Bupenza, where with Atlanta United, the opportunities are a little deeper. And with the defense of Cincinnati, I think the right-hand side, like I said, transposing the lineup from last time up against what we think it's going to look like for Atlanta United. I think that Saba, I think that Muyumba, I think that Brooks up the right-hand side against the left-hand side of that defense for Cincinnati, that will be, for me, what I'm looking at to see the successes there. And get Miazga running a little hot. Get him running hot a little early. If you've got somebody that can get under Matt's skin, like a Yorgos Giacomakis or what have you. Yeah, Yuya Kubo. For previous managers in Cincinnati, early managers in Yu Kubo's tenure, Cincinnati was not a good team and Kubo was misused. Yes, Abby, we do. Thank you for reminding me of this. And so Abby's asking for ref assignments, and we do have those. So let's get into the ref assignments while we're here. And we'll take a peek at week 10 and see how it's all laid out. And like I said, we'll go through the juice boxes kind of quickly, because if you listened yesterday to Nico, we went through them in more in depth, and we'll see how much of it has changed. Okay, so Armando Villarreal is the man in the middle. Corey Richardson, Logan Brown, Sergei Demyanchuk are your two ARs and your fourth. Carol Ann Chenard will be staring at monitors along with TJ Zablocki. Other assignments of note. Ted Uncle is the man in the middle for Columbus and Portland. Corey Rockwell is the AR. Alejandro Mariscal is your VAR. Messi and friends at home against Nashville. I have not seen the Luisa Aruju goal. I know that you sent it to me, and you said it was a talking point on Monday. So let me look at it. We'll talk about it on Monday. Messi and friends in Nashville. Ismail Elfath, the man in the middle. Elvis Osmanovic is your fourth. Chris Penso is your VAR. So Ismail Elfath, this will be interesting. Ismail Elfath. Yeah, I love Ismail Elfath. Ismail Elfath is your center ref, and Penso is your VAR. If you're keeping an eye on another match, the conflict in styles of Ismail Elfath and Chris Penso are at Messi and Friends and Nashville. Keep an eye on that one. Yes, it is centralized VAR. It is, I think it's here in Atlanta, as a matter of fact, Michael. I think it is here in a location here in Atlanta. So it is centralized. CF Montreal and Orlando City. Your friend and mine, John Freeman, will be at Stade Saputo as the man in the middle. Philip Dujic is the fourth. Jorge Gonzalez is your VAR. NYCFC at Citi Field. I just hope that they have wired it to Citi Field, they've wired VAR to Citi Field and not to Yankee Stadium, because that'd be bad if the VAR is looking at a Yankees-Orioles game. Malik Badawi is the man in the middle there for DC United. Toronto FC and the Revs. Mark Allerton is the man in the middle. Soren Stoichka is your VAR. Chicago Fire and RSL. Marcos de Oliveira is the man in the middle. Oh, Joe Dickerson's the VAR for the Fire and RSL. Which reminds me, fix your fantasy teams, people. If you're in the fantasy league, fix your fantasy teams before the matches start on Saturday. And if you haven't, join the fantasy league. Jason Wright Agency, Jason Wright with a W Agency on Facebook, Jason Wright with a WAGEN on the Twitters. Go ahead and join in. But Joe Dickerson is the VAR for Chicago and RSL. Houston and Austin, part of Copa Tejas. Rubiel Vasquez, the man in the middle. Catherine Nesbitt is the AR. Sporting in St. Louis. So Sporting in all caps at Children's Mercy Park has Alan Chapman in the middle. Lucas Zapala is the fourth. Colorado and FC Dallas with the Rabid Prairie Dogs at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City, Colorado. Ricardo Fierro is the man in the middle. Victor Rivas is the fourth. Kevin Stott is the VAR. LAFC hosting Red Bulls on a late game. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is the man in the middle for that one. And Carol Ann Chenard is the VAR. TJ Zablocki is assisting Carol Ann Chenard for the late games. And Seattle and Vancouver, Remy Touchant is the man in the middle. Brooke Mayo is one of the ARs. Jorge Gonzalez is your VAR for that one. For the matches on Sunday, Charlotte hosting Minnesota United. Pierre-Luc Lazier is the man in the middle. And for Galaxy and San Jose, for a Cali Classico, you've got Rosendo Mendoza as the man in the middle. You've got Rosendo Mendoza as the man in the middle for Cali Classico. That one has the potential to get out of hand. And Chris Penso is your VAR. So Penso is the VAR for an Ismail Elfath match on Saturday, and he's VAR for Cali Classico on Sunday, with Rosendo Mendoza as the man in the middle. Morning, Rich. I saw that article. We'll talk about it. News out of Philadelphia with the expansion of the park. So that's what you're looking at. So keep an eye on the Chris Penso matches with VAR. Rosendo Mendoza doing Cali Classico late night Sunday. Guido Gonzalez Jr. with LAFC hosting Red Bulls. Alan Chapman for Sporting in all caps. And what was the other one? John Freeman with CF Montreal hosting the Purple Team. But yes, Ismail Elfath, the man in the middle for Messi and Friends hosting Nashville with Chris Penso as your VAR. Ted Uncle hosting with Columbus hosting Portland. Armando Villarreal, the man in the middle here with Atlanta, and with the club coming to town, FC Cincinnati. So info. Where are my card numbers? Mission statement. No, I don't need that. I don't need assignments. I don't need news. Where are my? See, now I'm losing track of. It's like because I wanted to see where the what the numbers are for the officials when it comes to yellow cards and such when it comes to pro. So hang on, let me find the numbers when it comes to MLS yellow cards, so that way we know. Let's see, yellow card distribution pro. I want to see what the numbers are when it comes to the numbers issued when it comes to yellow cards and such so far this season. I'm sure I'll find it like well after the show, but the numbers exist, or they used to exist anyway, when it comes to the officials and how they are when it comes to the administration of their cards, how many yellows. Because John Freeman, as an example, when it came to the number of cards or the number of fouls he would issue, he was top 5 in Major League Soccer. But at the same time, he was lower third when it came to yellow cards going into the match last week. 6 fouls, 2 yellow cards out of the blocks. 6 fouls, 2 yellows. So you ended up with an atypical John Freeman distribution of his fouls and his cards out of the blocks last week with Atlanta United, and in the match that we all got to see. So ref stats. All right. So ref stats 22. Let me see if I can change this to a 4 and see if we can get it that way. Oops, page not found. Oh, great. Okay. So that's just not good. So proreferees.com. So if I go stats, let me see if I get stats here. If I get a stats page. Okay, here we go. Ref stats. There we go. proreferees.com/stats. This is what we're looking at here. So with the man in the middle for this one, for Atlanta United, Armando Villarreal, 17 games so far. Fouls awarded for Villarreal. That was last updated in 2023. So you're telling me that we don't have 2024 stats, probably because of the number, probably because of the lack of numbers. Okay. So, all right. So last season, let's do last season's numbers since we have a small sample size. Last season's numbers for Armando Villarreal: 17 matches, 399 fouls. So 399 fouls called in 17 matches. That puts you, 17 into 40, so low 20s. So lower end of the scale when it comes to fouls called. For Villarreal, you're looking at 77 yellow cards in 17 matches last season. So 4.5 maybe. Well, yeah, just under 4.5. So 4.5 yellows per match last season for Armando Villarreal, 4.53. And 1 red in the matches that he had last year. So his 4.53 yellows per game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, puts him top 10. So upper third in yellow cards. I would probably say upper half in fouls called, upper third in yellows per match. So middle of the road kind of guy. So that's what you're looking at for Armando Villarreal with the statistics when it comes to him and his whistle and him and his fouls. So we'll see. We'll see how it all lays out when it comes to the statistics for pro, and if they continue to go in the direction that they go. So that's what you're looking at for Armando Villarreal going forward. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so Dell asking favorite referees. It's got to be Ismail Elfath. Let's see. Dell. Dickerson is bad. I'm also not doing well in fantasy. Should stick to the Premier League. Michael Head. Torrey Penso needs to be a center F, wasting her talent as a VAR. Rich, we will get into the story about Philadelphia when we get into the numbers for the juice boxes for Philly. Well, and I've never seen, Emilio says, I've never seen John Nelson and Kevin Stott in the same room. I've never seen Bob Davey and Ted Uncle in the same room. Is it Ted Uncle or Chris Penso? One of them looks like Bob Davey, the former head coach at Notre Dame in New Mexico. I think it's Chris Penso. I think Chris Penso looks like Bob Davey. Never seen them in the same room. Dell should have that as a graphic on the. Yeah, they should. They absolutely should. Dell, you're spot on. This needs to be a consistent graphic when it comes to officials. We need to know, or at least have a knowledge base going in what these officials do. What is their propensity? How many fouls on average do they call? How many yellows? How many reds total? You don't have to give percentages because it's so small. But I think, Del, to your point, I think you need to have, when you're introducing the center referee crew, you need to spend time, at least a handful of seconds early on in the match or before the whistle blows, like you're leading up to the whistle blowing for the match that you're watching. I think that you need to have time spent with a lower third graphic introducing, it's like, we know in the upper right-hand corner, you get the chiclet or the tombstone where that has your referee crew. I think what you need to do is you need to, and even if it's the 2023 numbers while we're waiting for empirical evidence of 2024, since it's only been a handful of weeks, I think what you need to do is have your 2023 numbers up in a lower third graphic, like with Dell here. If we say this is a lower third graphic, I think you need to have, in your discussion of who the referee crew is, you need to have at least 7 seconds devoted to the center ref with a name ID, how many years they've been a center ref, like they do in the National Football League. Pick your favorite, Ed Hockley, 23rd season as a referee, when you're first time he's up calling a penalty. I think you need to have the referee's name. I think you need to have how many years they've been a referee in Major League Soccer. I think you need to have fouls called. I think you need to have the average of fouls with a ranking, like we were discussing last week with John Freeman, and then how many red cards they've issued. I think you need that piece of information added to the broadcast until we have enough fouls and enough matches called where you can have 2024 statistics and possibly have some kind of a comparison in a 2-line graphic. 2023 numbers, this individual was this way. 2024, they've done this, and this is how they are in 2024. I think you need that kind of information. Now that we've fixed that problem when it comes to television production, I think that should be a universal. I think it should. That's how it should look. Emilio says that he thought John Freeman was doing a good job last week initially with the Philly wasting, kind of fell apart as the game went on. Yes, and especially after the Jose Martinez chucking of the ball. In fairness, it is. In fairness, it must be exhausting for a ref to officiate a Philly game. Absolutely. I think you're spot on. It has to be exhausting. Yes, refs get evaluated. I don't know the whens, and I don't know if they're called into a dark room with a spotlight or something, and they shine like the game over their shoulder onto a big projector. I don't know what pro does with each of their officials. I don't know what the review process is. I imagine now with the new deal, it might even be less review. But yeah, I don't know if they're dragged into a room. You've got the one spotlight shining on the guy's head, projector from behind. And you see this play here, spot shadow, shiny object. I don't know what the review process is. I would imagine they get reviewed. To what extent, I don't know. Evaluate, yes. Never mind. So that's where we are with refs and what it looks like. Oh, by the way, public service. Let's find out. Do we have MLS assignments? Hang on. So if we have MLS assignments, MLS Next Pro assignments for week 6. So let's find out who is doing the match at the Fraction on Sunday. Catherine McCormick is in the middle. Your ARs are Austin Holton, Andrew Sharon. Your fourth is Alexander Zhelyashkov. So those are your 4 officials at the Fraction for the 303 kick involving FC Cincinnati 2 and Atlanta United 2. And much like Atlanta United, keep an eye on FC Cincinnati's lineup and their game day 18 and see how many of those folks get rolled over to get reps Sunday afternoon. Like I said, we get to catch up with Steve Cook coming up here in about an hour off the air as we get ready for the broadcast on the SDH network. 2:30 pregame, 3:03 kick. Maddie and I will be at the Fraction, and Jason will be on the call, and we'll have post-game there as well. Juice boxes for Major League Soccer and all the other divisions, and we're going to hear from Mike Jeffries, the head coach of Charlotte Independence, coming up here in just a little bit as he gets ready for both Open Cup with Atlanta United and for USL League One here on the weekend. So here's all your juice boxes for the weekend. Atlanta United plus 100, even money, hosting FC Cincinnati. CF Montreal on the purple team, it's about a pick 'em. Both in and around plus 157 in the composite. Draws at plus 257. Crew hosting Timbers at a minus 164. Portland's north of plus 425. This is to win on either side. Messi and Friends, a big minus, a minus 217 hosting Nashville. Nashville to win is a plus 545. Is Gary Smith on the hot seat even more if they get blown out again? NYC, minus 102, hosting DC United, and this is at Citi Field. At least we think it is. So DC United's a plus 267. Toronto is a plus 131 at home, hosting the Revs at a plus 204. Is Caleb Porter on any kind of a hot seat? 830s, Fire plus 135, hosting RSL at a plus 186. That has gone down. That margin has closed since yesterday. I still like RSL at a plus 186. Chicho Arango, take the over if you can find it. Copa Tejas, Houston, big number, a minus 145, hosting Austin. Austin's a plus 386. The I-71 Derby, Sporting a minus 108, hosting all caps. St. Louis City FC is a plus 266. Rapids are a minus 141, hosting FC Dallas, who are north of plus 400. Is Nico Estevez on the hot seat. LAFC hosting Red Bulls. Red Bulls are a plus 372. They could turn this one into a mucker because the draw's a plus 280. LAFC is a minus 139. Sounders and Whitecaps. Sounders a minus 123. Hosting the Whitecaps in Cascadia. Take the over if you can find it. I think this one has a propensity to go a little nuts because it's Cascadia. Vancouver's a plus 330 on the road, and they're at the top of the West. Sunday, Charlotte hosting Minnesota at a minus 102. I like Charlotte in that one. And Minnesota's a plus 263. Galaxy hosting San Jose for Cali Classico. Late night. So second half's going to be in the dark, and Cosmo is going to let us know Sports Center is next. Galaxy a minus 156. And San Jose and the draw basically hovering around plus 345. So those are your numbers for your juice boxes on the weekend when it comes to MLS and Atlanta United. So we'll get into the other leagues coming up here in just a bit. I see that you guys are all over the place. Rich says, the games are reviewed. The best refs are the ones that, in theory, get the best playoff games. So, yes, that is in theory how this works. And I think there's like a point system or something. Hey, you did this right, so you get this. To Rich's point, when it comes to Philadelphia, Union want to expand Subaru Park, but they know it won't be easy. And this is an article from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And our friends there have an article up. Union President Tim McDermott, he's the one who is grabbed for the first quotes in the article. MLS's fourth smallest stadium is Subaru Park. And they really don't have a whole lot of luxury boxes. Limited room for parking. Public transit access is a headache. That's the headline. That's the byline given by Jonathan Tannenwald. So Subaru Park seats 18.5, and that's the first problem. Back when it was constructed, 18.5, everybody's sitting there going, cool, 18.5. 18.5 really is about 50 to 60% of what it needs to be in this day and age. And I know that the Philadelphia front office is sitting there going, we do need to expand. It's like Q2 in Austin, the room and being able to do it. Q2 doesn't have the room to expand except in one end zone. 22,000, it is too small. Demand is there for Austin. It needs to be bigger. It is not, and they have no room to make it bigger, at least in a uniform sense. So second straight season where every regular season home match is sold out for Philadelphia. Lack of proper public transit access. Great to drive through, or drive to, but to get there, once again, it's a headache. They've hired Gensler, which designed BMO, Q2, and Snapdragon in San Diego. So Toronto, LA, Austin, and San Diego. My first thing, Rich, you better yell at Gensler to make it bigger than 22,000 with whatever plan they have. Because like I said, if they designed Q2, it's too small. Anthony Precourt undersold the idea of how many seats. Many projects in Philadelphia include $125 million in upgrades to the link. They're going to study how to expand Subaru Park. Premium seating, obviously, first on the list. 9 different projects Gensler came up with, premium-oriented. Look to unveil maybe 1 or 2 going into next year, according to McDermott. Where in the stadium would they be? Close to the field. So it might have to be like we see in other stadia where you have folks sitting behind the signboards. Something like that. So rest is 14,000 season ticket holders. Rest of the ticket sales going to single game buyers and group sales. So 14 of 18.5. 70, a little over 70%. And so you got to be careful on capacity. McDermott believes from an architectural perspective, Subaru can be expanded to 27. That's a good start. Isn't too far off from what original CEO Nick Sakevich dreamed of when he talked with Villanova in 2011. But 27, if you can get to 27, if you can increase by a third, more power to you. You can, you try to expand seating to 27,000. That'd be cool. And then you got local fans complaining about mass transit. Mass transit, obviously, since you don't have a whole lot of parking spaces, a mile away is your closest stop on public transit. And so if people walk a mile, it's 20 minutes. Shuttle buses on a game day from a transportation center 1.8 miles away. But apparently the one that runs from there to the stadium is listed as infrequent. And so then you have all of that going through Philadelphia's mind, meaning the union, as they're trying to get things squared away. But if you can get to 27, that's a good start. But when you get to 27, what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that folks can park or folks can get there one way or the other. That's the biggest issue. But yes, at 18.5, you've got to expand. At least you're looking at it. But seriously, you better knock on Gensler's door and go, don't turn us into Q2. Give us space to expand in all 4 directions, not just one end zone where it would look like a shoehorn, basically, if Q2 decided to expand down in Austin. Yes, and Tom, in the interrogation room for the officials for Pro, yes, it does have to be an old school actual film projector. You got to hear that. You got to hear that back and forth, drive them crazy. Absolutely. Oh well, David, we talked about it yesterday, but we also talked about Joseph getting the first goal on the board against Cincinnati. So Joseph got 2 mentions. Cincinnati did it. Montreal did anyway. So we talked about Joseph in the purple team, but will Joseph start? We got to keep an eye on that because of the status of his knees. Who is Mel Kiper Jr.? Emilio Victor Rivas is a trash bucket. David, rules for Philly attendance is you have to live within 15 miles of the stadium per their coach. Yeah. Yeah, it's like constant criticism of MLS ownership, too small stadia. Yeah, but this is once again, I think that when the older owners, I guess MLS 1.5 or 2.0 or whatever you want to call it, when you had that wave of stadia and those franchises from 15 years ago come in, they thought, and I thought that they underthought, to be perfectly honest, they underthought their levels of success. And so you ended up with the notion of, okay, yeah, we think that this is cool. We'll be okay. Instead of trying to think outside the box and trying to advance the game, you wanted to do something that was comfortable. And I'm not just talking about Philly. I'm talking about in these cookie cutter stadia, you're like, okay, let's build it this size. We'll be okay, and we'll try to fill it. Instead of trying to think about, okay, we will fill this place. Is it too small? You undersold your audience when you built these stadia. And that was the first problem in all of this when it came to building all these stadia. So stadium capacities, now that we're there, now that we're talking about stadium capacities. Subaru's 30 minutes from Center City. Yeah, it's on Chester on the River, pretty much. And Alex with talking about LAFC. All right, so, and LAFC is another one that we could talk about with BMO. So the 26 stadium. Allianz is too small. It's 19.4. RSL, 20,200. You're at Sandy, Utah. So I think you might be right with your audience. Audi Field, expandable, but you're at 20,000. Bank of America, you can open up the upper deck. BC Place, you can open the upper deck. BMO at 30,991. They think they can expand that to 38. BMO in Los Angeles, 22, too small. But once again, I think you were trying to cram it into space at the time that you built it. Built in 2018. So 2018, 22,000. 2018 for Audi Field, 20,000. You under constructed. 2008, 20,200 for RSL. And 2019, 19.4 for Minnesota United. You definitely under constructed. Right now, we know that the situation at Messi and Friends is going to develop into the other stadium. So right now, 21.5, it's still too small. Even with the seats in the corners that you've added. Still too small, but you're already building your larger facility. Children's Mercy Park, Kansas City. 2011, 18,467. Too small. It's a great cauldron, but I think it's too small. That's why you had Messi and Friends at Jiha, at Arrowhead. City Park, 2023, 22.5. I think it's too small. But once again, you were trying to put something into space. I'm hoping that it can be expandable at some point if Carolyn Betts sees, or Carolyn Kindle sees, that the demand is there. Colorado, 2007, 18,061. Too small, but once again, you've got to have folks fill the place. So right now, I think you're okay. Dignity Health Sports Park, 27,000. You're there. That's good for LAG. Gillette, you can open the upper deck. Geodis, 30,000. Cool. That's a good one. Orlando City, 25.5 in 2017. You're right there. You hopefully can have room to expand. Crew at lower.com, the Death Star, 2021, 20,371. I think you under constructed. Seattle, Lumen, you can open an upper deck. Atlanta, we know you can open the upper deck. PayPal Park in San Jose, too small, 18,000. 2015. Providence Park's been expanded to 25.2 built in 2011 after it was initially there. Q2, 20,738, too small. Red Bull Arena, 25,000. They need to fill it. Stade Saputo, 19,619 in 2012. Hell in a Shell in Houston, 2012, 22,039. I think you can expand that. But you've got to fill it first. And we've had Glenn Davis on the show to talk about that. Soldier Field, you got the upper deck. Subaru Park, we're talking about that 18.5. Toyota Stadium in Dallas, 19,096, built 20 years ago. Hopefully you can find a way to expand that. But once again, you've got to have a team that can fill the place consistently. TQL, new stadium, 2021, 26,000, and you can go to Yankee Stadium or wherever. And Yankee Stadium is listed at 30,321, expandable to 47,309. You're building your own place, but Dylan Butler states the problem there is, once again, it's in the mid-20,000s, and I think you're under constructing, but once again, you're building into space. So there are a lot of different joints that are under constructed. Now, I think that was MLS 1.5, 2.0, whatever you want to call it. I think they under constructed. A lot of them under constructed. I think they underestimated their audience. They underestimated where the game was going. And so you've got a lot of stadia right now in Major League Soccer, and hopefully a lot of ownership groups that are wondering what they can do to expand. Dell, Subaru Park, similar to Patriots Point, both having bridges in the background. Very, very, yeah. And also hoping that Atlanta plays at Charlotte and Patriots Point so some of us can come to Charleston. Michael, yes, TFC is expanding for the World Cup. They said 37, and they also said that it can go to 41 or 42. So that was when they built BMO on the waterfront in Toronto. They had that in mind. It was more for the success of the Argonauts and for Toronto FC. But the Argonauts have stayed indoors, and they've stayed over at Sky Dome up the street. But, yeah, 37 and or 41 for Toronto FC, expanding that for the World Cup. So, public service, Tom, is like the new Club America kit is a yikes. I'm clicking on the link, Tom. That's a little busy. I mean, I get it. I understand it. That is caliente, by the way. I mean, I wouldn't buy it. But I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo it. Andy, honest question. What's the average percentage of tickets sold compared to capacity? All right, so let's find out. Let's see if MLS came up with any kind of, let's see, MLS attendance numbers 2023. Let's go there. So as we look at Soccer Stadium Digest, 2023 attendance numbers ended on a high. MLS attendance up 5% from 2022. And Inter Miami, of course, didn't report their season-ending match attendance, which was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25. So then there was the list of everybody with numbers. Totals, average attendance, 22,094. Attendance was 10,870 across 492 matches. And the average was, once again, up 5%. But we need to know percentage compared to capacity is what we're looking at here. So attendance and home matches, once again, our friends at World Football. Let's see if they let us know. Everybody's still looking at the 22,000 number. The capacity number is what we're chasing here. So as we try to 10 million spectators, MLS would say something like that. Yes, ranking the average fans continues growth on pace to 10.9. Let's see if Forbes had anything from 8th consecutive year. No, I don't want pop-up windows. 8th consecutive year impacted, currently at 10.4, finishing at 10.9. 7 clubs were on pace to set average attendance records. Austin has sold out every match so far. Season tickets up a league record 9%. Average attendance 5% compared to the same in 22. MLS store revenue up. Messi was the most followed, most sold. First year of the contract deal. Quoting about it. Boasts the youngest, most diverse fans in North American sports. The article from Forbes from Michael Lura. Capacity percentage. That's what we need. We need the capacity percentage. But that is the one thing that we seem to be missing is the capacity percentage. So up 5% to just north of 22,000 venue to venue. But we need the capacity percentage. That's probably the larger element here. Okay. Let's get into a USL Championship and those numbers in USL League One. And then we'll catch up with Mike Jeffries here coming up in just a little bit. So juice boxes and matchups in USL Championship, what to pay attention to, what to look for. USL Championship, you have Detroit favored against Oakland Roots at a -103. Lou City favored on the road at Loudon at a +102. Hartford Athletic favored at home against San Antonio. Harry at a +136. Charleston Battery, even money, +100 at FC Tulsa at a +209. The Miami FC, big underdog at home against Birmingham Legion, or -120. North Carolina FC favored at a +104 as New Mexico United visits. Tampa Bay Rowdies a -208 as El Paso visits at a +544. Colorado Springs favored against Indy 11 at a +129. Indy 11 a +172. Vegas Lights a +123. Rhode Island FC on the road at +179. Memphis at home a -109 hosting Monterey Bay at a +252. Orange County is a +219 hosting Sacramento at a +112. Phoenix Rising a -122 against Screaming Bob Lilly and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are a plus 292. So those are your numbers in USL Championship. No juice boxes in USL League One, but we will let you know what the schedule is, and then that way we can get into the conversation that Maddie had with Mike Jeffries. News out of USL League One. USL Eugene, Oregon announces plans to bring a franchise to Eugene, Oregon. So add another team in the Western footprint for USL League One, which is what they've been trying to do all along, is add teams out west, so you're not having to do the Statesboro to Spokane nonstop charter. Keeping an eye on that. So this weekend, it is Union Omaha at Warner Park in Papillon, Nebraska, Saturday afternoon, hosting Charlotte Independence. We'll get to Mike Jeffries here in a sec. City Stadium in Richmond, Richmond hosting Spokane. CHI Memorial Stadium, the season opener for the home matches for Chattanooga, Northern Colorado Hailstorm come to town. Sunday night, it is South Georgia Tormenta hosting Greenville Triumph. So you have 4 matches in USL League One coming up this weekend. Standings after the first couple of weeks. Greenville, 5 matches, 10 points. 1 Knox is at 9. South Georgia Tormenta, 5 matches and 7 points ahead of Spokane Velocity on goal difference. Union Omaha's only played 2 matches because of their Open Cup play. They've won them both. Charlotte Independence behind on goal difference. Forward Madison has the most matches played and the per goal average. Once again, it's 6 points. So it is Union Omaha, Charlotte, and Forward Madison in points per game average. Lexington is at 5 points. They've lost 3 of 4. And then that is your playoff bar. Teams below it right now, Richmond at 4 points, Chattanooga at 3, Central Valley with a long losing streak of 4 in a row and a goal difference of -6. And Hailstorm out of the blocks at a surprising 0-2-1. They have only 1 point on the year. So now, with those numbers and the stats being laid out for you, it's time that for Maddie to catch up with Mike Jeffries. And so Mike Jeffries is balancing things on a couple of different fronts. He's got a road trip with Union Omaha coming up this weekend and an Open Cup in a couple of weeks. It is the chance for Charlotte to take on Atlanta United. So here's Maddie's conversation yesterday with Mike Jeffries about everything Charlotte Independence.
Alrighty, everyone. I'm Madison Cruz, and I am here with head coach Mike Jeffries, who is the head coach for Charlotte Independence. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm great, Madison. Doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing well. It's becoming summer up here in Georgia. It's not spring because we don't have spring. It's just hot. It's not fun.
Sorry to hear that. We're getting the same though. Training's guys are taking more breaks for sure. So.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. But what I wanted to talk to you about is you guys have been having a great run in the Open Cup so far. I mean, both of your matches have been absolutely insane to watch, which is just the magic of the Open Cup as it is. Something always happens. But I want to walk through kind of the game that happened this Tuesday against Rhode Island FC. So you guys were able to come down. You guys went down goals multiple times and you were able to fight back. What does that say about the resilience of your squad?
I thought that was one of the best parts of the performances. I thought going against a team, that was a championship club up a level, that we maintained our confidence and maintained composure, even after conceding really relatively early in the game and almost their first chance. And I thought that showed a lot of character and so forth. I think the guys coming back from giving away a goal right at the end before the first half, right at the end of the first half, also was pretty good. It's easy to walk into the locker room and head down, and then we concede very early in the second half. And yet guys kind of hung in the game and found a way. And then obviously Luis made a big play to get us to 3-3. And you could see just the lift in the group after that.
For sure. And this is the second time in this Open Cup that you guys have gone to extra time and then have gone to a penalty shootout. I mean, do you guys thrive under that pressure? Is that something that you would assume that your team has, is that they love the kind of competitive nature of going that far and playing in that game?
Certainly we have a very competitive group and guys always want to win no matter what. I think all of us would prefer that if we could get a result in 90 minutes, that would definitely be the preference. I think, having to fight through the overtimes and maintain, confidence and intensity throughout that is good for us in the long run. I think it helps, with guys, fitness, sharpness. It helps let other guys come in and step up and make an impact on the game. And then I always give credit to the guys for their composure at the end, willingness to step up and lay themselves on the line to take penalties. And then, clearly Austin's been very strong for us when it comes down to those situations. And also he was huge for us in the run of play towards the end of the game, which is some of the saves that he made.
For sure. I mean, Austin Pack, obviously MVP of the night for you guys. I mean, absolutely stunning. How much of an impact has he been for you guys since he's joined your squad?
Austin's been fantastic. He's been huge. But, I'll speak to sort of the last. He's been around us for more than the 2 years, but certainly the 2 years he's been with us in League One. He's been, just top class. Made plays that have kept us in games, allows the back line to have confidence, knowing that they've got somebody behind them that can cover. And then he's pushed himself to become, better in so many ways in terms of, reading the games was very good, but he's improved there. He's improved his footwork and his ability to play with his feet and so forth. So just fantastic and a great mentality. And, we love what he brings sort of every day, both training wise and then obviously on game day.
For sure. And, this is the first win against a USL championship side in US Open Cup since 2015. Did you hear about that after the match? Was that something you learned afterwards and everything? But also, how does that feel to get that victory and move on to the round of 32 now?
Yeah, it's a huge victory for us. That's a little, I guess I'm disappointed in us for that, but that's part of the Open Cup. We've had some really good tight games, and even some of the ones we lost, whether it's to unfortunately rivals like Charleston or NCFC. They've been well contested games and been hard games. It's nice to come out on the top end of one of those for sure. And hopefully it portends well as we push forward into the next round.
And you mentioned it. Speaking of the next round, today was announced that you guys will be facing off against MLS side in Atlanta United. You guys will be coming down here to Kennesaw to play at Fifth Third Stadium. Leading up to that match, it's a little bit of ways away. What was your initial reaction when you found out you'd be playing Atlanta?
Look, I was excited for the guys. I mean, part of the motivation when you're a League One club, it's certainly you want to be the last one standing and from your division. But part of the motivation is, look, we want to get a game and play an MLS club. And, I think for players individually, they love to be on the field in those situations and kind of see where they're at and so forth. So I'm excited for the guys and looking forward to it. And I know, with the MLS teams that are in it now, it's, obviously a very serious competition for them. So, we know we'll get a great run, and I think it's a great opportunity for us as a club, but also for the guys individually.
Absolutely. And my last question for you, I got to talk about the fans, because looking back at that match, the crowd that you guys were able to have was massive. Are we going to see that crowd kind of travel down to Kennesaw, Georgia to come watch you guys? But also, too, how does it feel to have that backing of that support for you guys when you go through a tournament like this?
Yeah, the atmosphere Tuesday was fantastic. It's hard to believe it was just a Tuesday night and so forth. It was great to see. I think the fans were so into the game and loud, and our supporters groups, the drums were going the whole time, the singing, chanting. They were, just fantastic, and kept it up through overtimes into penalties after the game. It's great. And look, hopefully a few of them will make the trip down and push things along and, help motivate us even further.
I mean, it's not that far from you guys. We're pretty close. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's not too bad.
Not at all. And I know we feel good about the fan base that we've developed and really appreciate their support.
For sure. Well, Coach, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about the Open Cup and your journey through the Open Cup. And I know we're all looking forward to coming and seeing you guys play here in Atlanta when it comes back here in around May. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know we're all excited to get to see y'all.
Oh, thanks. We're very much looking forward to it. So thanks. All right. Appreciate you having me on.
And so there you go. That's the conversation that Maddie had with Mike Jeffries. And so he's got a couple of things he's got to focus on. He's got the Murder Owls on a road trip this weekend. And then he has Atlanta United coming up in a couple of weeks in U.S. Open Cup. So thanks to the Charlotte Independents and Mike taking the time to hang out with us to kind of break things down about what happened in the previous round, getting ready for Atlanta United coming up in the next round for the U.S. Open Cup. Magic of the Cup. Andy's done some quick calcs, and it looks like 90% or higher attendance of capacity, 16 teams. So 16 to the 27. So divide by 3. So kind of 5 out of, so 60%. 60% of the club's 90% or higher attendance versus capacity. And that's what they're going to do. Andy says it's soft number of tickets sold, but that's what Major League Soccer will do when they announce their numbers. It's tickets sold, not butts in seats. So tickets sold. So 16 of the 27. So like 60% of the franchises have 90% plus when it comes to their capacity taken care of. All right. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. And we'll get you into what to watch, where to watch it, and all those kinds of things. Jamal Musiala at Bayern Munich emerging as Manchester City's top target for the summer. Chelsea also looking. Bayern have no intention of selling and are preparing a new contract offer for him. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal looking to bring in a striker and a winger. Newcastle's Alexander Isak, Michael Olise at Crystal Palace among their top targets. Arsenal monitoring Benjamin Sesko at RB Leipzig, looking to step up their plans to get a striker. Sporting Lisbon and Victor Gyökeres also on the radar of Arsenal. Mikel Arteta looking to boost his options. Chelsea, Manchester United also monitoring Sesko, who has a €50 million release clause. Liverpool's assistant manager Pep Linders being targeted by Besiktas for their vacant head coaching role. Liverpool and PSG considering a move for Levi Colwill from Chelsea. Spurs interested in former Arsenal forward Serge Gnabry. Bayern Munich willing to sell. Liverpool, Manchester United among the clubs interested in Barcelona B defender Mikhail Faye, who is 19. Lille, Monaco, Nice also in the running. Spurs leading the race for Forest's Morgan Gibbs-White, ready to make a move in the summer. Romelu Lukaku expected to return to Chelsea at the end of the season from a season-long loan in Italy at Roma, who will not be able to afford the €43 million to sign him on a permanent deal. Chelsea, Newcastle also interested in Aaron Ramsdale. Newcastle scouting Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher. Germany boss Julian Nagelsmann talking not just to Bayern about becoming their manager, but will make a decision in the next week or so. But he also is sticking with Germany for the foreseeable future. Liverpool and Everton boss Rafa Benitez set to take over as manager at Sao Paulo a month after being sacked by Celta de Vigo. That's from the three-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Remember, it's an FA Cup weekend for the semifinals, so it's only going to be 7 matches in the Prem this week. We'll get you those in just a sec. Remember, for all of the sickos, get Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps Fanatis out, helps us out, helps you out to continue your degenerate love for leagues all around on the planet. You get all the BNs, you get Liga 1 Pro, you get TIC for the fans, Nuestra Tele, all that in one place. fntz.co/soccer down here. What to watch today? BN has Liga 1 at 3, Turkish Super League at 1. FS2 has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. That match is already underway. BN and Espanol simulcasting what they're doing. ESPN Deportes La Liga at 3 o'clock, Athletic Club in Granada. Season Pass has 2 matches tonight in Next Pro, Crown Legacy, and the Purple Team's B-side at 7:30, All Caps 2 and Real Monarchs at 8. On the Plus, Bundesliga 220, La Liga at 3. NextPro.com has Toronto FC 2 and the Revs 2 at 7 o'clock. Paramount Plus has Serie A doubleheader, 12:30, 2:45. Scottish Championship, Inverness and Wraith Rovers at 2:45. Prime Video has their NWSL match of the week, Orlando and San Diego at 8 o'clock. Sergei Demyanchuk is the man in the middle. For what's going on in the Premier League, 3 tomorrow, 2 at 10 o'clock. Luton, a big underdog at home, hosting Brentford at a plus 114. Sheffield United, an underdog, hosting Burnley at a plus 152. This is probably relegation 6-pointers for those folks hanging at the bottom of the table. 2:30 Eastern, it is Wolves and Arsenal, and Wolves are a plus 860. Arsenal's almost a minus 300. Remember, the semifinal is blocking out the noon broadcast, so we'll get to the semifinal in a bit. Also on Sunday, 4 matches. Everton favored at home against Forest at a plus 108. Villa minus side hosting Bournemouth at a minus 114. Bournemouth a plus 280. Crystal Palace a plus 112 hosting West Ham at a plus 248. 11:30 Fulham and Liverpool. Liverpool at Craven Cottage minus 172. Fulham is a plus 419, and Arsenal and Chelsea will meet on Tuesday. We mentioned what's going on in the FA Cup. FA Cup activity has one game on each day. Saturday's game, Manchester City and Chelsea. Manchester City favored at a minus 167. Sunday morning, Coventry hosting Manchester United, and Coventry's a plus 438. Manchester United is a minus 196. Alex Pacine, hands off of Alexander Isak, the precious Alexander Isak. Once again, reminder, all of the traffic, noon. It is the high school show. Soccer is in session, the live version. We're going to go over AA, Quad A, and 6A. That was the girls last night. We're going to have the head coach for the Perry Panthers joining us off the top of the show at noon to break things down. And then later today, we would like for you to drop by Reverb by Hard Rock, 7:30 start. And it will be all of us catching up with all of you, getting ready for FC Cincinnati. Jason, Maddie, and I will be there. You'll be there, too. It's up on the rooftop bar at the Reverb by Hard Rock across the street from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Tomorrow, once again, 7:40 kick with Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. Pregame starts on 92.9 The Game with Abe and Garrett at 6:30. Mike and Jason have the call, 7:30, 7:40 actual kick time on Apple TV. You can sync up your radio, hit the local option, and Mike will always give you the instructions as to zero everything out to where it matches. Also on the board, it is Atlanta United 2, FC Cincinnati 2, 2:30 pregame Sunday afternoon, and a 3:03 kick. Maddie and I will have the pregame for you, and Jason will have the call from the Fraction at 3 o'clock, and we'll have the postgame show afterward as well. And then everything starts back up all over again on Monday. Morning show, soccer's in session, and we're off and running one more time. So, Maddie, what else is on your mind before we go and get ready for the weekend?
Well, I didn't know I was not on the screen. I started talking, and then I was like, no one can hear me.
No one can hear you.
No one can hear me at all. But, yeah, going to Reverb tonight. I've never been to Reverb, so I'm excited to get to go for the first time. And going to talk all things soccer. Going to talk about Atlanta United and Cincinnati and see, everything that's going to be great. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yep. And it's going to be, once again, we'll be there a little early. I think we're starting our to-do, and that is the official term, at 7:30. And so we'll be there, and it'll be fun to catch up with everybody, getting you ready on everything in Major League Soccer, looking at everything on the week that was, looking at Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati, playing everything forward. The words from Gonzalo Pineda earlier today, leaning you into what the lineup could look like, what we talked about this morning when it comes to Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati, and we'll see what happens. But we would like to request everybody's presence at Reverb by Hard Rock tonight at 7:30, but earlier, and then staying later. So that's the fun part. So that's another week here of SDH. Maddie, if you would please, since you are here, go ahead and send us home for yet another week.
That was Freestyle Friday. Make sure you guys come back on Monday morning, where we will go over everything that happened on the weekend. And it will be a lot of stuff that has happened on the weekend. So we'll have a lot to talk about. So make sure you guys tune in on Monday. And since that's the end of the show, that means John gets to do this. Mucho plot to y'all.
Play it safe, everybody. See you at Reverb tonight.